Have you ever been in a situation where you struggle with your finances and then you find people who seem to earn or who earn lower than you do, who are able to have better control of their finances, are able to afford the basic needs of life much better than you do? They're able to pay their rent in time. You struggle with your rent. You actually earn more than they do, but you find that, and maybe if you live in the same compound, you pay similar amounts of money as rent, and then this guy, he works in the same office with you, or he earns a lower amount, or he's always on time with his rent, he's always on time with his children's school fees, he's always on time with his basic expenditure. The difference between you and that fellow or that individual might just be what we're going to talk about in this video. And what does that matter? It is the issue of budgeting, or a budget. What's a budget? A budget is a plan of how your income and your expenditure travel. All right. So if you have a sheet of paper, you can just draw a straight line. On one side, you label your income, and on the other side, you label your expenditure. And then you itemize the things that you need to spend money on the expense side. And of course, your income is stated on the income side. Now, if you have just one stream of income, you just put the value from that one stream of income. If you have multiple streams of income, one of the videos we're going to produce in the coming weeks or months will be on how to develop multiple streams of income. If you have multiple streams of income, you state the different amounts of money you earn from those multiple income streams. All right. So by the time you do a summation of your expenses and then you do the summation of your income, you should be able to compare the two values. Where the values neutralize each other, the income is equal to the expenditure, your budget is okay. And then there's the other side where the expenditure is higher than the income. Then you have what is called the budget deficit. And as the word goes, deficits are bad. You don't want to live in financial deficit. And then you have the last situation where your income is actually higher than your expenditure. You have what is called a budget surplus. All right. So a surplus, you have a situation where your income is higher than your total expenditure. When that happens, you have what is called a surplus. All right. So these are the three positions any human being or anybody who earns money or earns income can fall into. These are the three categories. So this video is about how you can gain financial greatness by practicing proper, accurate, and smart budgeting. Okay, so I mentioned earlier to you that usually in preparing your budget, there are two columns: the income side, the expense side. We want to look at some of the expenses that you should have in your expense segment, your expense column. Your living expenses, all right, feeding, transportation, housing, a fundamental part of what your expenses should be. Those are basic human needs according to Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Those are physiological needs. All right, so you have feeding, you have housing, you have transportation, you have a lot of other things depending on your choices, your personality. Another thing that should be on your expense side is your savings. Your savings needs to be on your expense side. It's very, very fundamental that as you make income, one important item on your expenditure column is how much you're putting aside as savings. Why? Because every person who built wealth, most people who built, let me not say every person, most people who built wealth by putting aside a certain amount of their income and investing that certain amount or accumulation of those amounts that they saved. All right. So there has to be the savings item on your expenditure column. All right. And then some people also have what is called the miscellaneous item on their expenditure. What is a miscellaneous fund or expenditure? After you have taken out the basic expenses, feeding, housing, transportation, and what have you, and your savings, all right, you should also have like an emergency fund or a miscellaneous fund. Some people equate their miscellaneous fund with their savings. We don't recommend that at TWI. We recommend that you put aside an amount of money that you hope to invest and you will actually invest. So it's different from an emergency fund. Maybe you have a child who falls sick, or you have a brother or a mother and she falls sick. All right, that miscellaneous fund is what you can now deploy to pay that emergency bill, hospital bill, admission, or whatever. Okay, it should be different from your savings. Your savings should be put aside for you to invest it later. Please, I want you to take very important note of that. So your income is the starting point. You determine your income. In budgeting, that is the starting point. You determine your income. I earn 100,000 naira per month. I earn 500,000 naira per month. I earn 50,000 naira per month. That is the first thing you should do. Your income is your reality check. You can't be doing expenses of 500,000. I'm going to pay. My housing cost is 200,000 naira. My transportation cost is 100,000 naira. My feeding cost is 500,000 naira. When your income is 200,000 naira, people will think you're a madman. Okay, people will think something is wrong with you mentally. So the first place to start is your income. So you start from your income. All right. So the first column you fill in your budgeting plan is your income side. So that's your reality check. That tells you, it gives you the scope of what you can spend. It gives you the scope. It gives you the perimeter of how much expenditure you can handle. So let's say you earn 100,000 naira. So you know that you have only 100,000 naira to play around with. Okay. So you determine that. And then the next thing, you now begin to lay out your expenses. I've mentioned all of that before. Your living costs, housing, food, clothing, transportation, your savings. I've said that before. You should set aside a certain sum. Like I said, and like I've always maintained, the amount you save is dependent on how visionary you are about your financial greatness. If you want to achieve financial, let me give you an example with someone that earns 200,000 naira. You earn 200,000 naira as your monthly income, total monthly income. Maybe you have it from 2 streams or 1 stream or how many streams whatsoever. That's immaterial. Bottom line is that you earn 200,000 naira. And you say you want to become a millionaire. You want to have a net worth of $1 million naira in 1 year or 2 years. It's attainable, it's doable. There are lots of investment instruments that can give you that. So, but you see, that kind of vision would require a lot of discipline for you to attain. A lot of discipline. So if 200,000 naira is your monthly take home, then you should be willing to save a large chunk, more than 25% of that. So you can invest it in either stocks, in bonds, in commodities, agricultural products, or you can do livestock, some measure of livestock business. There are so many livestock opportunities that can accumulate that kind of money for you. You can actually start a small business, a side hustle that cumulatively will help you achieve your dream of becoming a millionaire, having a net worth of up to $1 million, whatever currency it is you're operating with, whatever territory you might be at. Okay, so your savings is very, very fundamental because it needs to go into investment. I'm going to say that for the opt-in time. You need to set aside in your expense column savings that you will invest. Don't just save money for savings sake. That savings must be invested. All right. In the event you set aside a miscellaneous fund or an emergency fund, and at the end of the month, no emergency comes up, or you have no need to spend that emergency fund, and it is still in your account, you still have it in your custody, you can build it into your savings account. You build your savings plan. All right. Let's assume for the example of someone that earns 200,000 naira, you put aside 20,000 for miscellaneous or emergency expenditure. And at the end of the month, at the end of January, for instance, there was no emergency, there was no need for any miscellaneous expenditure. Take that 20,000 naira, don't just go to one place and eat the whole thing, or say you want to have fun, you want to just enjoy life. Except you're not passionate about what you want to achieve financially. Take that amount of money, put it in the savings account, put it in the income for savings, so that you can grow it faster. You can grow your savings faster and then invest it in the investment vehicle you want to use to multiply your money. I think that makes sufficient sense. So the ratio is dependent, the ratio, because people ask the question. If you go online, there are all kinds of budgeting systems. There's a 50, 30, 20 rule and all that. You can use that if it works for you. But like I said, it is your vision, your passion for a financial change that should determine the proportion. I remember a man I know, he was earning money, he was saving 50% of his income because he came from a very poor background and he was desperate to succeed financially. He was eating 1 meal per day. So it depends on your passion, depends on your vision. I will not tell you to save 10%, 20%. There are people that saved up to 70%. I know a young man, a pharmacist, during his internship, was making over 100,000 at the time, more than 10 years ago. He was saving 70% of his income. I mean, he was living like a pauper. The clothes he wore in pharmacy school were the same clothes he wore as an intern. And people felt he was being too mean. People felt he was being too frugal. But he had a plan. He wanted to set up his own pharmacy shortly after internship. So he was saving aggressively. So he was saving up to 70% of his income. So it depends on your vision, your passion. All right. I think that's clear enough. So your income now, for your budget, your income must be higher than your expenditure for you to be successful financially. Make no mistakes about that. Your income must be higher than your expenditure. Your income must be higher. If you want to spend more than you earn, then you're planning to become a thief. So your income must be higher than your expenditure. I think that's a rule of thumb everybody needs to remember. Remember how we started. your income is your reality check. 100,000 naira, 500,000 naira. You know that you can't be having a budget of 1 million for a month. Okay, you want to tempt yourself, right? So your income must be higher than your expenditure. That's one rule of thumb that is very, very important. And since we're talking about financial success, we cannot stop talking about delayed gratification. Okay, so in highlighting your expenses, even your living costs that are very important, it's important to delay gratification. Let me give you a practical example. If you earn 500,000 naira in a month and you have a plan to travel to Lagos during the course of the month, so there's a transportation factor to your budget for that month. You can go to Lagos by road, you can go to Lagos by air. Your salary is 500,000 naira. And you have a vision to become a multi-millionaire in 1 year or 2 years, because with your income of 500,000 naira per year, you actually have great potential to achieve it. If I were in your position, if I were in your shoes, I would rather travel by road. I would make sure I don't buy that flight ticket. Flight tickets now probably around 90, 100,000. I don't know if the Christmas, the holiday season has waned and reduced their impact on flight tickets. All right. So if I were you, and if I were someone that wants to delay gratification, I would rather go by road. So I can put that flight ticket, the return ticket should be around maybe 200,000. Let's assume it's 200,000 naira. 200,000 naira out of 500,000 naira from your salary. It's about that's about 40%. That's a lot to spend on transportation. You would be better off putting that in the savings that you can eventually invest. So delayed gratification is a fundamental part in determining your expenses as you build and you prepare your budget. The next thing I want to talk about is you need to be disciplined to stick to your budget. It's one thing I know a lot of people who write budgets, beautiful budgets, wonderful budgets, but they don't stick to it. They don't have the discipline, they don't have staying power to stick to that budget. Let me give you an example. Maybe with the example of the young man I cited, or the young person I cited that wants to travel to Lagos. You had written in your budget for the month, the journey to Lagos by road will cost 80,000 naira to and fro, or 60,000 naira to and fro. You wrote it down there. And then you went to the office, and maybe some of your colleagues in the office are traveling for the same event in Lagos, or maybe are going for a similar training in Lagos, and it's not paid by the office. You have to pay out of your pocket. And then your friends are telling you, or your colleagues are saying, I booked my ticket to, and then you say, I'm not the only one that wants to grow financially. Let me also travel by air. You see, what has happened to you is that you're not focused, you're not disciplined to follow through with your budget. You're not disciplined. And that's what makes the difference between those who succeed and those who don't succeed. You must learn to manage peer pressure and peer influence if you want to succeed. Not just the finances, just you want to succeed at anything in life. You need to know how to manage peer pressure and peer influence. So you need to be disciplined to stick with your budget. And then I want to also say that you need to review your budget from time to time. You can do it quarterly, you can do it monthly. Some people have weekly budgets. Some people run weekly budgets, some people run monthly budgets, some people run quarterly budgets. It's important that you review your budget to measure your performance. All right, monitoring and evaluation is an ongoing and continuous process for any person or organization that wants to succeed. If what you don't monitor, what you don't evaluate, you cannot measure. All right, so you need to measure your success. And how do you do that? By reviewing it, by monitoring it, by evaluating your performance. Governments evaluate their budgets. There's what is called budget performance. You do at the government level. And the same thing should happen to you as an individual. You should monitor and evaluate your performance as far as your budget is concerned. Now, if you do your reviews and you find out that your budgeting is not working, or you're not sticking to the plan because of certain factors, you can shake things up and maybe you're being too stringent with yourself on certain factors or certain expenses. You can shake things up and give yourself some more flexibility. All right, shake things up if your plans are not working the way you have projected it. And then if you get stuck in the middle of the road, we are here to help you. Okay, if you have any challenges with your budgeting, maybe you have tried to budget in the past and it hasn't worked for you, we're here to help you. You can drop your comments in the comment section. So if you have struggles either doing a budget that works for you, or sticking to your budget, or monitoring and reviewing your budget, we're there to help you. You can contact us in the link in the bio on this channel. There's a means of communication in the link. So just go to that link, click it, and then get in touch with us. We will be more than glad to guide you, to show you how to go about budgeting. It's not rocket science. It's what a lot of successful people do financially. So it's something you can also do. And trust me, if you can take better control of your finances by budgeting well this year, you're going to have very, very great financial outcomes. So thank you for keeping faith with us once again. is watch this video. In case there are things we said that you're not very clear about, you can contact us. We can clarify, we can provide better clarity for you. And then I would recommend you can watch this video more than once. Sometimes the truths, the information might not be fully gleaned in just one viewership of this video. So you can download the video. So you can download the video and watch it over and over again so that you make full sense of what we are talking about. So thank you for keeping faith with us. Thank you for viewing our presentation today. We hope that it helps you make a better financial life. Have a good time and bye for now.